My name is Giles Smith, and welcome to our community. Good afternoon, Mr. Edber.
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith.
Well, tell us more about this great program.
Well, Prop 47, it's a proposition that was passed November 4th, 2014 by the state of California. Almost 60% of the voters voted for this. And what it does is it takes certain felonies, non-violence, theft cases, drug possession cases, and it reduces them to misdemeanors. So they're no longer felonies. We're not filling the prisons with people who are non-violent offenders, and we're actually trying to get them treatment rather than just lock them up.
Well, is this law kind of an offshoot of having overcrowded prisons?
It is. That's probably one of the main reasons that this law got started. And it's overcrowded prisons, it's the lawsuits that were against the prisons, and the state of California is trying to find a way to fix that. And what this does is it lessens, lessens the overcrowding, and it actually gets help for the people that need help. We're spending way too much money, way too many resources, and the state of California was getting in trouble, and so this is to sort of help that overcrowding as well as budget issues.
Well, speaking of budget issues, I understand that the state of California spends about $1 billion more a year on prisons than it does for higher education.
Absolutely. It's a really sad commentary on kind of the way the state is at this point. It costs almost $50,000 a year to house one inmate. About 15 years ago, that number was about $20,000. So it's more than doubled in the last 15 years. And the reason is part of its security, and the other big part, which people know, is health reasons, mental health, physical health. I mean, obviously everybody knows our health insurance is expensive. So the more people we have, the more expensive it is. And so rather than spend $50,000 a year on having somebody who's in for simple drug possession, why not put that money to better use? And it'll be cheaper to help people instead of just locking them up.
So California is not the only state that does this, right? Other states do something like this.
Correct. Right now there's at least 4 other states that are doing this. Arkansas, Texas, Kentucky, and Georgia. And for the most part, the majority of them have found that this is actually working. Less money is being spent, and people are getting more help than they were before.
Well, will this law keep people out of prison?
Well, it will lessen the prison population. So what it actually will do is, we had so much overcrowding with these nonviolent offenders, these simple drug possession offenders. And instead of that, the prisons will have space for the people that will actually be there. We always hear complaints people are getting kicked out early. This is going to take those people, the low-level felonies, the thefts, it'll take people out of prison and actually open up space for the people that we want locked up, the people that are more serious offenders. So this will, in general, what the Legislative Analyst Office actually thinks is this will have tens of thousands of less people we'll have in prison, and now we'll just have the people who belong there will be there, not the people that should be getting some sort of help.
Well, I understand as a provision of this law, people are eligible for being resentenced. How many people would that affect?
It could, in theory, affect millions of people. And because this law, it goes back, whether you have a conviction from 6 months ago, 6 years ago, or 60 years ago, it can affect you. So you could have had a conviction, in 1975, been off probation for the last 30, 40 years, and you can actually apply to get your felony reduced to a misdemeanor. So this law is going to affect so many people from so many different decades.
Some of the critics would say that even these low-level offenders, putting them back on the street could be a challenge for society. What would you say about that?
I would say what we have been doing hasn't been working. I mean, I think you see people from liberals to conservatives, people agree. I mean, this is something that people actually agree on, that it's not working, what we have going. So we need to do something else. And rather than spend that $50,000 a year on somebody who's got a drug problem, why not use that money and help them, get them treatment programs? Don't just lock them up. When they get locked up, they usually come out worse than before. So let's spend less money, because it'll be less money to get them treatment programs. And also the law actually has money not only for treatment programs, mental health programs, it also has money for schools, at-risk youth. So let's get to people before they become adults, before they have major problems. Maybe we can turn their lives around, and then that'll just save so much money for the state in the long run.
My 5-year-old son was accidentally killed. Following his death, crack cocaine comes to our community, so I begin to medicate that grief. For 20 years, I was in and out of prisons for a nonviolent drug felony. I was sentenced to prison 6 different times. I remember saying to the guard, "I'm gonna make it." And he says to me, "Oh, you'll be back." I went in because I had a substance abuse problem, and I went back in because there were no community supports to support my reentry. I tried to get into school. They told me with my criminal history, they would not invest in me.
I'm here to help get my record cleared. I started drinking when I was 6. By the time I was 16, I had my first DUI.
I had a receiving stolen property, no violence involved or nothing. There is no such thing as being rehabilitated in there. You rehabilitate yourself.
Life behind bars is horrible. My hope and my dream that I had upon returning to society slowly starts diminishing. As soon as I turn in my application, I have to check this box that says, have you ever been convicted of? Once that person reads that, my application gets thrown in the trash.
At the age of 19, I started using heroin. I ended up going in and out of institutions 18 times. I am a survivor of child molestation, and I believe that's what started my journey.
It's not normal to be faced with all these barriers, and it's not normal to have all these felonies tacked onto your life, which can haunt you for the rest of your life. The reduction of that felony to a misdemeanor would better give them an opportunity to seek out a good job that will lead to a career. There's so many things that is tacked to a felony that you don't even realize until you come back into the community.
I think that everybody deserves a second chance. I made a lot of mistakes when I was younger. I'm older now, I'm a grandfather now.
I'm gonna try to find out which of these convictions are eligible for Prop 47 relief, okay? So that's one of the crimes that are, the convictions that are eligible for Prop 47 relief. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill out the petition and the proof of service for these.
I never thought this would happen, where they would reduce these crimes to a misdemeanor. In other words, there is help for you now today. Before there wasn't.
When we apply for them, if you're eligible, you should automatically be granted. That's
so from
Prop
your
47.
experience and my situation, you think they'll be granted or?
Right. No, yours should be granted. You don't have any convictions that make you ineligible. All you need to do is apply and the court should automatically grant it.
Prop 47 is gonna help me keep my job, gonna help me give back to the community that's given back to me.
I feel like I have a chance now to never go back to prison again. And things are looking up.
It was a clear, clean process for me, and it didn't take a lot of time. We did it. Millions and millions and millions of people will be able to find relief through Proposition 47.
Do Prop 47. What's the worst that can happen?
It's real. There's nothing fake about it.
And it might be a good thing that I did it because I know God ain't done with me.
Well, we also talk about unintended consequences of these actions. A person goes to prison or jail. They break up the family. And then the young son or daughter, single parent household, and all of a sudden they are in the system.
Absolutely. I mean, it's if you turn one person around in the family, you turn, say, the mom around or the dad around, you're going to affect the kids. You might affect 3 or 4 people. So I think that this thing is going to help families. I've done Prop 47 clinics where I've helped people, and I may be helping somebody with their case, but their family is there, and they're so grateful that they're no longer going to have a felony on their record. They're going to be able to get a job or get housing that they wouldn't have been able to get, and you're changing the whole family, and you're changing that generation. You're probably changing the next generation as well.
And you also are bringing somebody from costing us $47,000 a year to actually paying taxes, possibly.
Absolutely. I want people, everybody always says, you want people working, so this gets people working, gets them jobs, pays taxes. Not only that, it gets them housing that they couldn't get before. So it makes them productive members of society, and that's what we want. I mean, that saves so much money. I don't even think we could calculate the cost, let alone the almost $50,000 for the jail for 1 year in the prison. But it's just saving so much more money that I don't even think we can calculate at this point.
Yeah, most cities in San Bernardino County spend about 50% or 50 to 55% of their budgets on law enforcement and fire. So this could actually help each city out as well.
Absolutely, right. San Bernardino's had money problems in terms of lately with the city, and a lot of other cities, not just San Bernardino, have had those same problems. So what this can do is, get people working. San Bernardino has had multiple companies are starting to build factories and hiring people, and so we want people to be able to turn in an application and be qualified and not just get dismissed right out of the way because maybe 10 years ago they had a theft case and they've been fined since. So we don't want those people excluded.
California's been through some challenging times when it comes to law enforcement. We had a 3 strikes law that's still in effect that really has helped clean some of the streets up. This program is not going to affect that and take us out of this crime era that we've been in.
Correct. This program and the offenses that it affects, simple drug possession, thefts under $950, those are not strikes. That doesn't change anything. So the people that commit more serious or violent offenses, that stays the same. Prop 47 has no effect on that. And like I said, the people that are most dangerous, those people are still going to be locked up. They're not getting out because of Prop 47. This affects the people on the fringe who they could either go very badly, they could get locked up and just start committing crime after crime, or people who are very close to getting housing, to getting jobs, could come back and be productive members of society. And so that's what Prop 47 affects, is those people who can turn it around.
I thought some people who are presently incarcerated can still be resentenced.
Absolutely, and that was our initial focus, was the people that were in custody. Let's get those people out, let's get their records cleaned up, let's stop paying for them being in prison. And so that was our initial focus, and I know a lot of counties in the state of California, that was the focus of the people in custody. So people in custody, they're eligible. People out of custody, they're eligible, whether you're still on probation, parole, like I said, whether your case has been completed 20 years ago and you haven't had any effect with the system or any interaction, those people are all eligible. So people in custody, those are who we try to focus on first. But yeah, everybody is eligible.
Well, that's going to be pretty enlightening to everybody who's watching this show. Everybody knows somebody who has some challenges.
Absolutely. I think everybody knows somebody who, and again, we're not talking about the murderers. We're not talking about the rapists. We're talking about somebody who may have gone and stolen $50 worth of food at Walmart. Somebody who's got a drug problem. They're not selling, they're not affecting anybody else, they're affecting themselves, they're affecting their family. And those are the people that we're talking about. Those are the people we want to help change their lives.
Well, that's what my audience is going to talk about. What are those exemptions that pop up? I mean, some people can't be eligible for this.
Correct. Not everybody is eligible. So obviously the crimes that are eligible for Prop 47 are simple drug possessions, thefts, forgeries under $950. What makes you ineligible is certain crimes. So not all strikes, but murders, attempted murders, and sex cases where you have to register. So those are the real big ones. The murders, attempted murders, and sex cases where you have to register. Those are the ones that will knock you out. So you have those. People don't have to worry. People are worried that people who have extremely serious crimes are now going to get out, get their records cleaned. This doesn't clean those more serious cases.
So under this law, if you get out of prison, are you eligible to vote, buy a gun?
What this does, if your Prop 47 petition is granted and your felony is reduced to a misdemeanor, you are eligible for all things that you would under a normal misdemeanor, except buying a gun. So yes, you are eligible to vote, you're eligible for certain housing, you're eligible for certain programs. The only thing you're not eligible is you're not eligible to buy a gun.
So what would some of the opponents of this law say?
Well, I think that some of the criticisms of the law that you hear the opponents say, they talk about Rohypnol as a dangerous drug, is known as the date rape drug, and that's eligible for a misdemeanor. One thing I can tell people is I personally have handled well over 1,000 Prop 47 cases. I haven't seen one case with Rohypnol at all, not one case. So it just hasn't come. It's a hot button issue, but it's an issue that doesn't come up. The other thing opponents say is, crime is going to get worse, with people back on the street. And what I would tell them again is we've got to use the resources that we're going to save at $50,000 per person in jail or in prison. We have to use those resources, use them for programs, for the mental health programs, for the drug programs. Those work more than prison. I think both sides of the aisle can agree with that. So we need to use that. And that's going to help turn things around.
What are we going to do with the savings? Are we just going to buy more programs or pay for more programs? Or are we going to actually really invest in the people?
By Prop 47's own language, the money's got to be invested. It can't be used for other programs that have nothing to do with the law enforcement system, the criminal justice system. So it has to be used for this. But again, the one thing I will say, and I think I can even agree with people who are critics of the program, is we do need to check up on, make sure that the money is being used for programs that are working. So I think that's important to have those safeguards. It's my understanding those safeguards are there, but we need to keep checking, and I think that's okay. Even the person who's the most vocal opponent of Prop 47, I would join that person and say, hey, we need to check up and make sure the money's going to programs that work, because that's the whole key to this. The money needs to go to these programs, but the measures are in place for that to happen. Overall, it's good. I mean, this is a good program. Like I said, it's worked in some other states so far. It's a good program. I mean, the system is broken the way it is. I think everybody will agree with that. The system is broken. Just locking somebody up in prison and then a couple of years later just letting them out, that doesn't turn people around. You need to give them programs. You need to attack the problem. The problem is drugs. The problem is mental health issues. Those are the problems. The problem is youngsters, teenagers who just don't have the support system. They need help, and that's what this does. That attacks the problem so we can turn that around. We turn that around, like I said, we're going to see incredible results. We're going to see lots of young people who are now able to be productive members of society. They're going to go on and do great things, and I think that's what this program is about.
Hello, my name is Katherine Clay, Ambassador of Women's Reintegration, the only all-women's mental health clinic in Los Angeles County, and we're also part of the jail linkage system in Linwood Women's Jail. Proposition 47 is not just important to me, but it's important to my community and to the population of women that our clinics serve. Proposition 47 gives the opportunity for women that have been arrested for minor offenses to be able to come back and be able to get food stamps so they could support their houses, or to be able to change their Section 8 status to be able to even qualify for housing. So Proposition 47 also gets to bring a lot of our family members home that have been given enhancements on their sentences for repeat offenders. So Proposition 47 is not only important for me, but it's important for you, your community, and future generations. So I encourage everyone to vote for Proposition 47.
I'm so blessed to have the family that I have now. You know, my wife, who's very supportive. She's my queen. I have two beautiful baby little boys, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a daughter on the way.
Come rub on me's tummy. See, baby sister?
And I want to raise them to the best of my ability. I want to be the greatest dad for them because, you know, I never had that. My grandmother was actually my mom. She was my dad. She was my mentor. She always prides herself in saying she took me in when I was like a week old, and she just filled the role of a parent, a true parent. Well, my mother was actually using, still contributing to her addiction while she was pregnant with me. Inside of her, when I was born, I was actually considered like a miracle baby. Well, it was really hard just dealing with a background of alcoholism. I believe it's hereditary, you know, growing up with a lot of questions about your family history and not really knowing your purpose in life kind of pushes people to sedate ourselves with marijuana, with alcoholism. And at about 14, we were drinking heavy at school, and eventually I ended up getting kicked out of school. In that situation, had maybe I been put into some type of rehabilitation or drug treatment or something maybe that could have deterred a lot of the activity I got into later on in life. We need programs that are actually going to get to the root cause of what the issue is, because we can't keep using our prison system as a surrogate, you know, rehabilitation center, because people are going into prison and coming out worse, and you get out and it's like, what am I supposed to do? I have a record now. Yeah. When filling out a job application, you know, there is a box or there is a question on there that says, have you ever been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor? And if you tell the truth, you automatically get denied when you have a felony. And I can say that firsthand, right? So for the longest, it was super hard for me to find a good job. You know, Community Coalition actually just gave me a second chance. Opportunity for so many people across our state by giving them the chance to get a job. It's highly unfair to have that felony haunting you for the rest of your life for a nonviolent, you know, a really minor low-level crime like mine, like a simple drug possession. Yet I have a felony that has such a negative impact on me forwarding myself and forwarding my life for my family. What's this?
It's apple.
Apple, good job. And being able to go down to the judge when Prop 47 passes and actually apply to get that felony dropped to a misdemeanor, I can completely get my record clear, which really unlimits my possibilities to really excel. And that's why I'm pro Prop 47 all the way.
How can the people find out more about this program, and how can they reach out to the Public Defender's Office to maybe see if they're eligible?
Absolutely. I encourage people, even if you don't think you're eligible, you're not sure, call us. You can either call us, you can go online, San Bernardino County Public Defender's Office. You can Google search us, call any of our offices. Even if you had a case and you weren't represented by the Public Defender's Office, you had a private attorney, you represented yourself, call us. We will handle your petition. You don't just have to be a former client. We want to try to help as many people as possible. So you can call any one of our number of offices. You can go online. We will help you. We will help anybody, whether you are a client or not.
Sometimes people are from outside of the county, or their crime was committed outside the county. How does that work? Does it go by where they live?
What people need to do is people need to contact the counties where the conviction happened. So, for example, if you live in Los Angeles, you live in San Francisco, San Diego, but your conviction happened in San Bernardino County, contact San Bernardino County. You do not need to come into court. We will get all the information over the phone. We will do the petition, so you don't need to travel. You don't need to spend money on those expenses. We will do it. We don't charge you anything to do it. We will do it for you. But you need to contact the county where the conviction actually happened and have it go to that specific county. So we can't do other, here in San Bernardino, we can't do Riverside or LA County. But like I said, you don't need to come in. We'll do it over the phone.
So in short, if you have any questions at all, call your office.
Call us. We're here to help. We want to get as many cases as possible. And one of the reasons for that is this proposition, it has a 3-year statute of limitations. So this got passed on November 4th, 2014. You need to have the petition filed by November of 2017. You need to have the petition filed within 3 years of the date. So November 2017. It's really important. You need to get on the ball. That's why we don't turn away anybody. Whether you are a client or not, we will help you out.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.